Hello, everyone. A lot of them have requested me to speak on the basic topics, that is the electrosurgery, understanding of electrosurgery. Now, this is a very big topic, and I would break it into smaller parts. So, in the first part, that is today, I would try to just make you understand the definition of electrosurgery. Then, in the next, it would be understanding the terminologies, and so then it becomes very easy for us to understand or read this topic. Now, to become a very good surgeon, you have to have two things. One is you need skills, and second is knowledge. Now, if you don't have skills, at the most what can happen is you will do an inadequate surgery. But if you don't have the knowledge of the instruments or the electrosurgery that you are doing, then you would definitely be a dangerous surgeon. So it is very important to understand this topic. Secondly, a lot of times the problem in understanding this topic is the language that is used. So I would try to explain in a simple language, and so it would be very easy for you to read this topic hereafter. So let me share this small presentation which I have. So today, defining electrosurgery. Like I said, this topic is the most misunderstood, or okay, there's a lot of confusion because the electrosurgery topic includes terminologies from the mechanical or the engineering point of view, and we as a medical students try to interpret it. When the engineer tries to say cutting current, we perceive it as if some tissue is getting cut, the round ligament is getting cut, or the peritoneum is getting cut. Or when he says coagulating current, we expect some coagulum like protein coagulum to form. So this is totally, we are not on the same page, and this produces all the confusion. So next time when you read this topic, read it from an engineering point of view. Then you will actually continue reading it and you will keep on understanding. To go into the definition, first you have to understand electricity. So what is the property of electricity? Electricity will always find ground. That means if it starts, it has to find ground, it has to reach, and that loop has to be completed. And second property of electricity is like water flows from higher level to lower level. Electricity will flow from high resistance to the pathway of least resistance. This will help you understand why in the olden days, when they used to, if you apply the returning plate far away, or if it is not properly applied and you give current, that current would find its own way to go out of the body. So the nearest metal attachment like the ECG leads, or if the patient's thigh is touching the side bars, then the current would escape through there, and in that part which is in contact with the metal would get burned. And that is the reason we used to have all these complications of electrosurgery. So I would, before I take you to the definition, let me warn you that these terms are very, very confusing. Don't give up at this stage of the reading the definition. I would go into the details to explain you each and every term, and then it is real fun. So the definition says that electrosurgery is the use of radio frequency alternating current to raise intracellular temperature in order to achieve vaporization or the combination of desiccation and protein coagulation. Now it's very confusing because there are lots of terms. In definition, you have to read in between the terms, in between the words. So we will split this into the words. So here you have a word like radio frequency. You'll have to understand what is radio frequency, what is alternating current, what does this temperature rise lead to vaporization, desiccation, and coagulation. So unless you understand each and every term, you will never understand the definition of electrosurgery. Now, routinely we take our electrical current from the wall unit. The wall unit, the current would be 60 hertz. Now, if we use this wall unit current directly, if I give this current to any patient, what happens? First is that patient goes into tonic-clonic contractions. The muscles go into severe contractions, and it will keep on happening. That is one bad effect. Next thing that happens slowly is this patient starts turning blue black colored, and eventually cardiac arrest would happen and the patient dies. So what I want to say is this electricity has two very big major bad effects, and these are in the engineering terms are called as Faradic effects. Now if you see, if you remember our first year physiology experiments where we would attach the muscle, frog muscle, to a bar and there would be a rotating drum. If you give current to the muscle, it would go up. So that was the experiment of depolarization and repolarization. What happens is when you give electrical current, there is at the micro level, there is exchange of ions. And when these ions exchange, we say when it goes out of the membrane, we call the cell is depolarized. And when you stop the current, the ion will return back. It is repolarization. So with every depolarization, the muscle goes into contraction. If you keep on increasing this frequency, you increase it so much that the ion exchange will go to very fast level. And at certain level, it will so happen that by the time the ion wants to cross the membrane, it is called back. So that high frequency, it will no longer go out. So it will no longer depolarize. And at that level, the muscle will stop contracting. So we want some current which would be reach that level where the depolarization will not happen and the muscle will not go. Otherwise, it's impossible to perform a surgery. So we want that high frequency to be achieved by these machines. So that is how we would remove this Faradic effect. There is another effect that is seen is electrolytic, where because of this positive and negative, the ions are pulled apart from each other and they go to the opposite poles. So imagine this in a common term, layman's term is that imagine water which is flowing, like the blood which is flowing in the vessel. If it becomes thick and curled, like it will no longer flow. And when the blood will not flow, it will not carry oxygen. And so there will be cyanosis and blackish discoloration. The black discoloration would be due to the further effects of the temperature, where the sun, where it goes very high and it will burn down to carbon. And that's why these are the bad effects. So when the same wall unit electrical current, we give it through these machines which are wrongly called, that would be in the second lecture, we call them as Cautery machines. They are to be called as ESU, electrosurgical units. So these machines have some capacity to convert that 60 hertz into a very high frequency current where there is no depolarization, and so the patient does not have these bad effects. And that is the reason, that is the cost we are paying these machines for. Like the more sophisticated, the better they give these currents and more dedicated, that is how the cost increases, and that's the reason why we pay them for. So now let us understand the first term in the definition, that is radio frequency. Now this first wall unit which has 60 hertz, this is the frequency where our regular day-to-day activities happen. The hair dryer and all these machines work at that level. When you increase the frequency to such a level, now how much is that? If it goes from 60 hertz, it goes to 66 lakhs, 60,000, like this. It keeps on increasing. When it reaches 3 lakhs, that is 300 kilohertz, that level, the depolarization will no longer happen. And practically in our day-to-day life, what we find is when you have electricity of this level, the frequency, that is when our radios or transistors work. And that is the reason they call it radio frequency. So we are not here to pay money just for the term. If somebody uses these jargons like I am giving you radio frequency, pay me more, forget it. I know what is radio frequency. So you don't have to get fooled by these terminologies. So radio frequency is the current at which the radio works, and that is where the depolarization does not happen for a medical person. So that's all. That is just the radio frequency, nothing more than this. Now the second term was the type of current, the alternating current. For that you have to understand that there are two types of current. One is a direct current and another is a alternating current. Now in direct current, the electrodes, the positive and the negative electrodes are at a fixed point. So the current would always flow from a negative to positive, negative to positive. And here if you see the midline, the current is actually flowing. It is above the line, and so there is something happening. The current is flowing in this. In the alternating current, these poles keep on changing. So the current will always flow from negative to positive. But by the time it comes to the positive, the poles are changed. So again, it will go from negative to positive. So the current keeps on flowing on either side of the midline. And so if you nullifies each other, so actually there is no current flowing. Now these are two types of current. One is a direct current and another is a alternating current. Direct current we no longer is not used in our practice. What we have or what we get from a wall unit is always an alternating current. Now in this, you would say that in direct current at least some current is flowing and we are not using that. But in alternating current there is no net effect. Why are we using this? So if we go into still more micro dissection of this topic, we will understand that here, even though the current is not flowing, there is oscillations happening inside the cell. So because of whenever there is oscillations, there is mechanical. That means there is some energy is transferred from electrical into mechanical energy. So if the frequency of that oscillation is so high, the friction is so high inside that it produces temperature. And what we use in our regular electrosurgery practice is we use the electrical current converted into heat energy, and that is how we use it. So that's why we use the alternating current, which will get converted into the heat energy. So you understood radio frequency, you understood alternating current, and the third was it increases when there is heat, the temperature rises. So what happens when the temperature rises? The normal temperature is 37 degrees, and in our regular fevers which we used to have from childhood, the temperature would not go to 50. At 50 to 60, if it stays for 1 to 6 minutes, the cell dies. Fortunately, all our fevers, the malaria and pneumonia and all this, we don't reach that, and so that's why we are like intact throughout our life. Okay, so what we intend or what we want in our practice is the temperature between 60 to 100, 90 and 100, what happens inside. So in 60 to 90, if you see, first understand what is a cell. Cell will have a membrane. It will have cations, anions inside it. There will be proteins inside it, and there will be water. So every cell is made up of these structures. So when the temperature increases, the membrane starts breaking at certain points and the water will escape out. So when the water escapes, the first thing that happens is the cell shrinks. Secondly, at 60 to 90 temperature, the protein has bonds within it. So these bonds start breaking, and these bonds in between, wherever there is return of electricity, there will be cooling phase. That time they will reform. So there will be breaking of the bonds and there will be reforming, but the reforming will not be to the original. And so then they start producing like a sticky coagulum, and that is how the tissues stick. So that is coagulation. And when the water goes out and the cell shrinks, it is desiccation. So this happens between 60 to 90 degrees. We know the boiling point of water is 100. So when the temperature increases to 100, whatever water is left in the cell will start boiling and it will expand. It will expand to a stage where the cell membrane will totally give away. and the water will go out in the form of vapors and ions, and that is how the tissues are broken down into fumes, that what we see in our surgery. This is called as vaporization. This we see as a tissue getting cut. So the electrosurgery definition ends here, but lot of us will not understand how to use this electricity. The temperatures of this can go to 400, it can go to 600. So what happens at 400 and 600 is we are actually reducing this organic material of the cell into carbons, and at 400, so that is why the tissue start turning black, and that is the carbonization. Some will even go to a level of burning where the carbons will be reduced to sugars, and when you reduce them to sugar, it will start forming that sticky material like the caramel, and it is called as caramelization. So the definition ends: use of radio frequency, alternating type of current to raise the temperature in order to achieve only vaporization, that is cutting, or a combination where you coagulate desiccation and protein coagulation. The carbonization and caramelization are additions. They are not there in the definition. So friends, I think to summarize again one more time, I would say that the use of radio frequency alternating current to raise the intracellular temperature so as to achieve desiccation, coagulation, or vaporization is electrosurgery. So I hope I have been able to explain you these terminologies in the definition part. And really the engineering, bioengineering people are working so much to make our surgeries so easy. See, initially the machines, if I always compare these machines, it is like some parents taking care of their child. The parents would give a child 100 rupees and he would spend it, and then come back and give explanation how I spend this money. So if it is in a good use, the parents don't mind giving it. But if there is no return checking, so that is what used to happen. If you give 100 units of electricity, it goes into the tissues, does its work, and comes back, then it is okay, it is functioning properly. But if the electricity current goes in the wrong way and it does not return, then now what we have, these machines, these engineering people are working as that they do this monitoring, the return electrode. If you don't get regular or the expected return, then the machine stops on its own. So what we have now is return electrode, REM machines, return electrode monitoring machines. So that is a very fantastic thing from the doctor's perspective. What the parents do is now is, if you want crayons, they would give you only 20 rupees. If you say I want to have chocolates, take this 20 rupees. So they are now checking into how much and where you are spending. Just giving 100 and the child fooling them is no use. So they will check into what you are doing. So exactly that is the mechanism these engineering people are working on, that is called as active electrode monitoring. Like if you pass 100, is the 100 delivered to the tissue? Because the complications, what I would discuss in the complications is suppose your active electrode is damaged, the insulation is lost, the current would directly pass to the bowel and it would arc there and produce a hole in the bowel, or it would touch the trocar and that trocar would touch something else, coupling. So all these things, complications will happen. So we need what is called as AEC machines, that is the active electrode. If you pass 100 and if 100 is not delivered, then the machine should stop. So there is a lot of fun in this topic, and I think I will be able to explain you all these things. So thank you very much for this opportunity, and I hope we'll meet again in the next topic where I would discuss the terminologies, and that would help you understand and read the topic better. So thank you very much.